Damn, girl, you look good in red.
Thanks.
Looking good in red.
I need to test my soundboard, see if it's working.
What are you talking about?
It wasn't working last night.
Oh, well, remember you had to unplug it and restart it. Try it real quick.
Nope.
Yeah, just unplug it. Here. Hey, you're unplugged.
Okay.
And just unplug it. Maybe you can even restart your computer. Will work. Make sure you shut it down and restart. You got 10 minutes. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. I expect a banging day for Twitter. It was crazy. We had more people on Twitter than any other platform the other night, Leroy. They must have stopped throttling us.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, we had like 150.
You know, I guess that doesn't shock me, given that, you know, it's not as fascist as something like Facebook right now. But
I think he's probably still trying to get the algorithm worked out. So hey,
yeah.
I'm gonna turn down the music and well, let's see how many people. You know, let's wait for people to come out before I make this announcement. So we'll kind of just chill a little bit. Good to have everybody here. We're going to start the pre-show faster than this. Let me get the time locked in here. Edit. Spreely will be coming on here in just a few minutes. We got about 1 minute till launch. So we're going to put that right up there.
Friday.
Happy Red Friday to everybody.
Happy Red Friday.
Right. It's really good to see only some people wearing red today. How's your wrist, babe? Is it hurting?
Yeah, my carpal tunnel is really acting up right now.
So is mine. So, you know, hey.
Really bugging me. Might not be doing that much typing tonight.
Well, we might not be doing what?
Might not be doing that much typing tonight.
Oh, yeah. Do you want my mouse pad one? Or do you want to use it?
No.
Hey, look
What's
at Liv. This is your best friend. Put that in front of your keyboard. And I'll keep mine for my mouse. And I'm telling you, that'll change your life. Just put your palms on it and then stretch your fingers out and it'll help your life. All right, folks, for about 12 seconds, I got some really exciting information and I'm going to share it with you. And I appreciate everyone liking the stream.
It's still not working, but that's okay.
That's okay. We'll be back in the next, I don't know. 3 minutes. Happy birthday, Bubba. Hope you had a good one. It's good to see a few people on Twitter. Keep it up. Thanks, everybody. The DUM Club, if you want to have exclusive member discounts, monthly newsletter, quarterly gift box, and have amazing access to the Cost Club membership, you can go to the dumclub.com. There are plans for everybody. You also get free news. We're making some really good strides on that news channel. We just hit over 1 million views on our articles, which is incredible. Stop by the dumclub.com. That's how you can support. We would appreciate it. Shut up, Izzo.
Hey, gang. Dominic Izzo, host of the Rants of Izzo show here on Spreely TV, reminding you, watch my friend Matt Spear on the DUM Show daily as well here on Spreely TV. You're going to get talk, news, trending politics, all social issues, everything entertaining and engaging and educational. Do it. Watch it. The DUM Show, Spreely TV.
Pretty
home
damn cool.
Of free speech. Speak freely here at Spreely. Pretty damn cool. Spreely TV and the DUM Show.
Oh, I like
So do I.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Happy Red Friday. Livia, Leroy, welcome to the show. Good to have you both here.
Hello.
Ethan,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Ethan won 14 to what?
No, it was, hang on.
Oh, come on. Don't look at it.
It was
Just-
like
just
18 to 6.
Great,
or
just
something
lie.
like
Just 18.
that.
Nobody will know the difference. 18 to 6. Fantastic. We didn't even have to waste any time looking it up. 18 to 6. The kid hasn't had a hit since game 3 because everybody walks him. He's had 9 walks?
Yeah, a lot.
They're pitching around the guy. Happy birthday, Bubba. So I want to start off telling a little story. And it's about a man named Brady who was busy with 3 boys of his own. All of them had hair of gold. Like their grandfather, the youngest one had pubic curls.
Gosh.
Is that the name of the song? Is that
And
how it goes?
he's up at band camp. The one time
With
at
a
band camp, right?
With a flute. They became flautists. They played the piccolo. Well, Mike Brady did. Let's get serious.
I thought it was Greg. I always had that
Greg
feeling
was
about
no Greg diddled Florence Henderson, but Florence Henderson also diddled Peter.
There's a lot going on.
That
on
was the
show.
mom. Oh yeah, she used Wesson oil. Is my understanding. Oh wait, Wesson. Well, she did those commercials. When it's just not gonna fit, Wesson oil for those moments. No viscosity breakdown in this stuff. God, that whole place was a cesspool of just carnal knowledge and
don't want to
smut
show
and
up
drugs.
on the set of the Brady Bunch with a black light. It will give you nightmares.
Dude, I'm telling you that you wonder how Mike Brady got AIDS. There you go.
Oh,
that was a cesspool. Well, welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. For those people who are offended, I apologize. We should start very early. Semper Fi. When Semper Fi. So here's the thing. So a lot of people know that I don't necessarily believe in organized religion. Like I'm not a fan at all. And I don't think that will ever change. I'm all about the church and the constituent or the congregation and people helping everybody and the small church and cook meals when somebody loses a loved one and they have a baby and you go over there and give them diapers. They're totally all for that. But the moment you got to pass the tithe or the charity plate and give till it hurts mentality, I'm not a big fan. I don't like the ceremonial garb and the sacramental wine and the also homoerotic kneeling in front of a man and taking his wafer in your mouth. No, I'm just not a fan. And some people can be upset by that, and that doesn't really, no offense. I'm not condemning or chastising your religion. It's just not for me. But I will tell you, as I have grown older, I have become more faith driven than ever before, and more because I'm questioning things, right? And I go, listen, I've been on this thing long enough waiting for the answer, and the answer's never come. So I better start looking in places that, not like Willie Nelson, because that's why his beard is brown and soggy, because he was looking for love in all the wrong places. But I am trying to no rim shot. It's okay. It's the sound's not working. It's fine. I'm here for you. But to get to the long way around, and thanks for Spreely, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, everybody, thank you for joining. Something happened the other night, and it was about 4 a.m, and I found myself arising from slumber, and it wasn't because of arousement, which usually what happens. Olivia will roll over and bump into me, and then that's all it takes, or a stiff wind from the fan will hit her, and that's all it takes. And that's not what happened. And I because she was snoring incessantly at the time.
Yeah.
So
always.
Once that happened, I couldn't go back to sleep. But it was exactly at 4:56. 4:56 a.m. I remember that because I looked over and I looked at the phone, and I'm like, well, I better get online and I'll post a meme or talk some trash and stir some things up. And when I looked at the clock, by the time I grabbed my phone, it was 5:01. And at 5:01 a.m., I'm just like, well, I'm just committed. I'm going to wake up.
Okay.
And go work out or go eat and go shower, whatever, shower, shave. And all of a sudden I get a notification on my email. And I get the red dot and over the email box. And I'm immediately like, that's weird, because I know when I get emails. Like, I know my emails happen at 6:35 a.m. The spammers start spamming, and the offers and all this. But I have it down like clockwork. And it was strange to see an email. And so immediately I think of Facebook violation, because that's usually what it is. It's never good news. And I click on it, and my jaw hits the floor. Absolutely hits the floor. Amy says, prayers going out to Colleen Stewart. Kristen, one of our moderators. Nancy is Glenn's wife. I know there's a lot of surgeries and hospitalizations going on, so blessings to all of those people. May you get on the road to recovery as fast as humanly possible. And as I'm laying there, and my mouth hits the floor, I go back to this ideology that I possess, and Olivia and I possess, that we don't get upset about money anymore because everything works itself out.
Sure.
No matter what's happened in our lives, it always works out. Something happens. And the last 3 or 4 months have been horrible because we lost, anywhere from $3,000 to $15,000 a month because of Facebook. And that's, right. And 15 was the highest and the 3,000 was the lowest we've ever done. And we were averaging between 3,000 and 6,000 a month from Facebook, which we put a lot of work into Facebook. To lose that, not for any punishment, just because they changed the rules is hard. So it's been tight for us, really tight for us. I mean, Olivia and I have been, do we absolutely need this? I mean, and we're saying 1,000 no's for every yes. And, hey, do you want to go get some yogurt? Nope, we can't. We already ate it this week. We're not going to. I mean, that type of stuff. Budgeting, like really living on a nickel and dime budget and, balancing the book every day. It's insane. Because the cost of this and the return of this have to make sense. And although we're not even close to the negative, it's got to be positive, right? So as my jaw hits the floor, and I know I'm slow rolling this because it's important to me that how amazing this was. Everyone has been just freaking awesome with donations, just helping every night. I mean, $10 here, $100 there, whatever they can. And it means so much to me. Amy, thank you for ordering your Red Friday shirt. I hope you enjoy it. But for Olivia and I right now, a couple $100 is life-changing, right? That That helps with groceries. That helps with the house payment. It helps with the car insurance. It helps with everything. It helps with the bandwidth. It helps with all the things we do for the show. And I look at the email, and somebody gave $1,550.
Damn.
And that right there, along with another 4 or 5 people since then that I have to bring up, absolutely changed what we were going through at that point and was needed. Like I can't even begin to tell you. And it helps so incredibly much.
Yes,
And
thank you very much.
Yep. And I'm trying to post this again, and it won't allow me to do it. So I'm just going to say thank you to the people who did over the last few days. So I can't give you the person's name because it's too much money, but they joined the Gold Club and they paid for an entire year in advance.
Wow.
Which is huge. Right. Knowing that we get that right away, not even knowing if this is going to be after a quarter, something they enjoy. That was amazing. Then made a $1,000 donation, and they're not the only ones. People have been so unbelievably kind. Annie couldn't figure out how to use her system, so she went to Glenn and gave $26. Frank gave $10.80. Christine gave $10.80, and I didn't get to say at the end of the show, it just popped up, and I was off air, and I felt so bad I didn't get to do it the night before last, but she did. And then I can't even begin to tell you all the people, but there are now hundreds of people who have given, and it's not just one group of people. There are some people who've done more than others, but to me, I think it's extremely important, and I just can't thank you guys enough. It means the world to me, and I appreciate you so very much for all of your help. So in lieu of that, I've extended the goal, and really that's closer to 2,000, but because of the 500 goes to the DUM Club and it's not a donation, I'm just extending what we originally had, and I appreciate whatever you guys can do. You've already made it a very special month, and everything you're doing helps, and thank you so much for that. Liv, did you have a word or two?
We really, really appreciate everyone's help, whether you give $1 or whether you give 1,000. We appreciate you all equally, all the same, and are amazed by your generosity, and it's going to help the show go on, and we really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really appreciate it, so Matt doesn't have to get a corporate job again.
Yeah, I don't ever.
Corporate job again.
I'm at that age where my kids are at, my daughter is 4 years away from, out of high school. This is the most important time for them. And me flying on a plane, being out of state is not what I want to do. But that's what I'll have to get a VP job. And if I do, I'll never be home. I'll be working 80 hours a week. And of course, I can do the show from the hotel. I can write at night.
It won't be the same.
It's just not going to be the same.
Too much. And I did the stay-at-home mom thing for 10 years and then did part-time to help during COVID. But I finally have my dream job, and I work full-time now. And if he goes and he's gone 5 days a week, there's no way I can do my job. And because that would mean the kids wouldn't get to practice and get picked up and would be home alone. And so I appreciate him being here so I could do my dream job as well. So
yeah, this is really all about Olivia being selfish. So this is Leroy, go ahead. Did you have something real quick before we move on?
Isn't it funny that we will change our lives around our schedule, our entirety, right? Everything gets dictated by what we want for our kids. I've gone through that. And it's one of those things where you have to make those decisions. All right, who's gonna stay home this year? Is so-and-so going to get a full-time job? And if so, what's that schedule look like? Isn't it amazing that we just absolutely rearrange our lives just on the hint that, we'd both be there for a high school graduation?
Yeah.
I recall this was not that long ago that I made the decision to forego a mobilization until both of my kids had graduated, and I didn't want to miss it. And there's a lot that goes on in terms of negotiating with the military. Whether or not a promotion is in line based on whether or not you've gone through MOB. But I didn't want to miss my kids' graduation. So what do you do? Yeah. Good on you guys.
No, and it's, the hard part about this whole thing is, and just not to dwell on this too much longer, is I want to talk about the moderators. Now, the hosts have been, you guys know Amy and Leroy, they do this for nothing. And when Leroy started, the only way I knew how to give back was to help him out with some equipment and try to, help with his camera, and then maybe throw him a shirt or a hat, or whenever he needs anything, needs a brother to talk to, I'm there. I would love to be able to say, I wish there was something to give, but that's not the way it works. And it's so, there's a number we have to hit in order to survive, and then you want to extend. And it's a matter of, it's hard because I've got moderators who bust their ass, and they've been doing this for years for me. So you know what? It's putting them up on the page. So go to the DUM Show and look under hosts, and they've got their own page now, their own segment. And the reason why is because they deserve the recognition. They deserve at least a little something. So I think what I'm trying to say is that ultimately we may not be able to give dollars. We may not be able to give everything we want, but what we can do is at least throw a like or a share or say something nice to somebody or make a phone call. But these people work tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure that the show runs effectively, that people in comments feel welcome, but also held to account. These things are not free, and these people are working towards a goal that they believe in, and it's more than that. And say we get syndicated tomorrow, and there's not going to be enough to give to every single person, and I think everybody knows that, and everybody knows what we're creating here, and it's just an amazing thing. So Sarah also, who I need to put on the page too. Sarah, I need you to send me a picture. I forgot to ask you. You always do our promotions for us. You're always there talking about us. I would love to put you on the page as well, Sarah, and you help us out tremendously. So I just wanted to say thank you. I also know there's a lot of people who are going through some stuff right now too. I just want to say God bless you. If I missed you, if I didn't catch a happy birthday, or someone's not feeling well, please let me know. This is a relationship that we've all had together for almost 4 years now. And honestly, we're stronger than we've ever been. So thank you for everything. It just humbled me to a point where I'm just like, you know what? How can you question something? How can you question that there's somebody out there watching out for us? Because if it always happens and we're always taken care of and we always survive, even though we think it's insurmountable, well, then you've got to recognize that as more than just luck, because that's not the way the world works. So you've just, every day you guys restore my faith in humanity, and I love you. And it's really hard to look at your kids and go, you guys, I don't know if you remember, but Dad used to work, 70, 80 hours a week and travel, and he busted his ass, and you feel like a loser because, your daughter says something hurtful at one point that she didn't mean and said, well, Dad doesn't have a job. Dad's a social media influencer. And I'm like, oh my God, this hurts so much. And even though, she's walked that back 1,000 times and apologized because she really doesn't know what we do, and now understands the level of commitment as a working man his whole life and a provider, it's sometimes it kicks you in the ego a little bit. So we appreciate you, and thank you, everybody. That's it.
Couple of things. Shout outs to a couple people. Brenda, her granddaughter, just passed her government test with a B because of the Documents of Freedom books.
What?
She used them. So
Nice.
that's pretty cool.
No way. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's
Amy
spectacular.
Bordeaux's son just flew off to Japan.
Now, Amy, did you find out what he's doing in Japan and where he's going? Is it Yokosuka, Navy, 7th Fleet? What is it? Air Force? Go ahead, Libby.
And then Dale, his daughter, is graduating today with a doctorate degree in education. So quite a few
congratulations.
things
A
going
lot
on.
of good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's good stuff. You know, that's all feel good stuff. Amy, that's 7th Fleet. Then say hi to the USS Blue Ridge for me. Because if he's going out to sea for 4 months, then let's see, they should be going to, I don't know if they're going to go to Russia this time of year, and they may not be going to South Korea. They're probably going to go do a southern cruise, maybe Australia, Sri Lanka, French Polynesia is what I would assume. They're probably going to stay close to the Indian Ocean because what's going on in the Gulf. That's what we would usually do around May. Plus the waters are so damn warm at that point. It's incredible. Anyway, welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. I really appreciate it, folks. I don't know what else to say. It was just something I wanted to take some time on the show tonight. It meant a lot to me. And once again, I thank you guys and girls for allowing me to do it. Let's get to the show. We got a lot to do. First topic. Thank you for donation of $10. We appreciate it. That helps out tremendously. Carrie says, I was just thinking the other day, listen.
No, because
you're
told me.
Hey, I was going to give you kudos. Don't get upset. I was going to say you're a saint amongst angels.
Oh, that's great. But it was your son's fault.
That's great.
He told me, can you make the shake over again but put less water in it?
It's okay.
That's what he told me.
That goes in this. I'll have it for tomorrow. That can go in the fridge. You
got my text about the kitchen, right, baby?
Love you, Hayden.
You'll try.
Hayden, okay, get out.
Love you.
Get out. Do your chore. Do your chore. See how it's not plural
Don't
chores.
Close the door.
Chore.
Because I have to get on a call
One
and
chore.
clean out this
One
bathroom
chore.
and it's supposed to be
One.
13
You have one.
hours.
You know
I
what?
love
You talking
her
isn't.
attitude. I do.
You talking isn't getting anything done. You could at least spend the next 30 seconds from you gabbing and flapping your gums by doing the kitchen. Yes, sir. Go.
Thank you.
We
you
love
can keep
you.
the door open.
Love you, sweetie.
I love
The
her
great-
attitude. It reminds me of that Loki meme where they're talking about like something tragic that happens, and Loki's like, yes. So anyway, just like totally blew you off.
But the greatest thing about Hayden is that we made sure she was opinionated and we allow her to live that. But when it's over, she shuts her mouth. Like when we say, no, that's it. And she just, yes, sir. That was it. And she's amazing. She's a great kid. We want her to be that way. We want her to be fiery. All right, let's get to the show. We got too much to do. Carrie says, I was just thinking the other day how many hours a day you have to put in this, Matt. Research, news articles, writing short clips, nightly show. Yeah. Listen.
Honestly, it's almost more than when you were VP.
Oh, God, yes. It's more than when I was a VP. Because my day starts at 6 a.m. And, sometimes earlier. And then I usually am not done out of this office until 10:30. And then first thing I'm doing when I'm off the show is checking Facebook, it's a never ending job. It doesn't stop, but that's okay. I love doing it. Let's get to the show. We got too much to do. So many people are on right now and all they're doing is listening to me gab about my personal life. All right, let's rock and roll. We've got a couple of big topics tonight. Have you had a chance to look around the news today there, Leroy?
Actually, right after I got off work on the way home, what I did was I listened to your most recent show about history and how past is prologue. That whole take, it was an excellent piece.
Cool. Yeah, that went fairly well. And although, I think it's a big story, the one that got me the most was, do you guys remember when we covered this and the Nancy Pelosi and team hired 87,000 IRS agents?
Yes.
I do remember.
What was the promise that they made? Does anyone remember?
Yeah, that those IRS agents would solely be looking at the very, very top people on the economic spectrum there, that they would only be looking at people who made, I think it was like 400,000 and above or something to that effect.
That is correct. Yeah, Libra, great memory. What did they also, do you guys remember what they said about them being armed and everything?
I
don't remember that.
Yeah, do you remember what they said? Is that these new agents that they're hiring were not going to be armed? Did you remember that?
No, I thought they were.
No,
for
they
some
they
reason.
said, well, that's what came out, is that they were, and then they're like, no, 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 we're not going to arm these people. Well, we found out that they are armed, and the most recent article from the Wall Street Journal is IRS most wanted, the $200,000 man. They are going after heavily the people who made 200,000. This is why we got hit in 2022 and 2023 so hard, is because we're their number one audits, and they came after us because we cleared that. We're very close to it. But this is, and with inflation, $200,000 isn't what it once was. These are the people who are making $150,000 to $125,000 annually pre-COVID.
Right.
So,
Right.
So the question is, and this is an interesting, and I want to get people's perspective. Why do you think the IRS is going after the $200,000 person instead of going after the $2 million person or the $40,000 or $50,000? Why is that $200,000 the sweet spot? Does anybody want to take a stab at why that is? Going after means doing audits. Out of all of the audits, 64% of the audits that the IRS did. Thank you, BK. Appreciate you, buddy.
it.
That's awesome.
Out of
Thank you, BK.
out of the audits that the IRS did for last year's tax and so far this year, 64% of them are for people making $200,000 a year and below. In that tax range, and that tax range falls into $150,000 to $200,000. Can anyone tell me why?
I could speculate, and I actually have two really solid, now, again, they're speculations, but they make logical sense. One,
Okay.
the fact that there are far more people in that bracket that make 200,000, so there's a greater yield for that. And also, that would be the group that would be lesser likely to hire a lawyer in defense. They would just say, we don't have the money for this, let's just pay it.
That's pretty damn good. Liv, any other thoughts you can think of looking at our situation, why they would be going after specifically $200,000?
Well, Mel said it right when I was thinking it. Is they're looking for GOP donors.
Yeah, that's funny. But you know what? Those are all good ideas. I mean, for sure, everyone. I mean, those are three really good ideas. Do you have any other ones?
No, I'm racking my brain that I don't know. That would be my thought is your registration status as far as what you vote for, but
Right.
I don't know how they could tie that in.
Interesting thing. So there's two things that I found when I looked this up. I wanted to look up discretionary spending for people who make $200,000 to $150,000 in the United States. And then I also wanted to look up, because that's the first thing that came up. All the ones that you guys said came up, and I verified that those are absolutely true. But I also wanted to extend it a little further. So I looked up the largest groups who were impacted by COVID negatively, who lost 1 to 2 jobs.
Oh,
Those are actually people made $150,000 to $200,000. Subsequently, they are also, which is an interesting thing, and this is something that everyone should put in their head. There's two things that they also fall within. That $150,000 to $200,000 range are actually, they make up the preponderance of donations to the GOP comes from that tax bracket. They make up most of the small donations. Now, for the Democratic Party, those actually fall into a very different parameter, which usually fall into anywhere from the $75,000 to $125,000 range, and those made up only 9% of the overall audits. Isn't that interesting? The second thing that ties this in also is that when you look at discretionary spending, that's outside of electric and gas and food and vehicle.
Sure.
What do you think the number one thing, and entertainment, what do you think the number one thing that tax bracket, $150,000 to $200,000, spend their money on if they're GOP voters? Olivia, go ahead.
I would say firearms.
That is
and ammo.
That is absolutely true. 120%. The number one discretionary spend for people making $150,000 to $200,000 who fall into that GOP category, who are the largest donors, their number one discretionary spend outside of entertainment, food, gas, and college and all of that are firearms and ammunition. What an interesting thing.
wasn't it wasn't that long ago, and I want to say I'm talking less than a week or two, where I was to understand that some of the rules at ATF were pushed forth from the government, have kind of changed where there's no more private sales of firearms. You can only do it through an FFL. And if you sell even one or two weapons per year, right? Even just one, if you make a profit on it, you then have to register as an FFL. Has anybody heard that?
Well, that's pretty much the way it's always been. But transfer of firearms or lending a firearm, you haven't had to be an FFL dealer. But if you're going to sell a firearm in capacity of a license, being in an establishment or being in a brick and mortar, you have to have an FFL. And that's pretty much everybody. But what you're talking about,
what is FFL?
It's basically
private sales, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, I know. Yes, it's a firearm sales license, essentially, saying that you're going to. But that's what he's talking about. It's the gun show loophole bullshit, which is somebody selling guns at a gun show out of their trunk that are ultimately doing private sales of firearms, is the loophole that they closed. I can tell you this. I've been to hundreds of gun shows. I have never seen firearms sold out of the back of a truck. And the thing that I would try to say to you is that that's illegal already. That's the problem. If you want to make a private firearm sale, you have to fill out the registered paperwork. You can't just give someone a firearm. That's not the way this works. If you're selling guns in a private property and you are at a gun show and you have a trunk full of guns and you are not doing the proper paperwork to fill those out, if you're not doing the proper transfer of paperwork, you're breaking the law. So this is the problem with liberals, is you're already breaking the law. And if you go ahead and try to say, look at every mass shooting in America, not one of those guns have been sold out of a trunk at a frickin' at a show. So give me a break. What they are is improper storage at a parent's house, or they're people who have cleared the most basic necessities of a background check or a waiting period or going into a store and buying firearms. So once again, you're going after legal gun owners. Now, I'm going to get a hold of Nick Freitas, because Nick Freitas made a freaking amazing show on the Second Amendment. And you guys know I love this guy. He's like a brother. He's a brother from another mother. We look similar. We talk similar. I think him and I would get Virginia. We're both out of Virginia. I think him and I would get along famously. So I got to reach out to him. But yes, it depends on the state. But what I'm saying is that if you are selling a trunk load of weapons that are unlicensed, that are not serialized, and you're handing them out and doing sales, I don't care what state you're in, that is not something that you could do. For people to sit here and say that that's what's taking place, it's ridiculous.
No, but I think the argument that was being made from the government side was that, from the private owner side is, okay, so let's say I wanted to sell one of mine to my son or to a family relative or something along those lines. At that point, because you're still talking about transferring, God forbid somebody is trying to do something within the bounds of the law. Now, just to give something, one of my pistols to my 20-year-old, right? Now I have to fill out all of this additional paperwork, and there's the potential that I have to become an FFL. It's a lot.
Well, right now, the requirement that I understand is it doesn't matter where you're at, whether you're in a parking lot, whether you're at in front of your house, you have to fill out the basic background check. That is my understanding. A background check is not something that's difficult. I'm sorry. I don't have any problem with background checks at all, in no way, shape, or form. And every state I've lived, even Texas has a background check. You go into an FFL, you're filling it. I don't care. Any licensed firearm dealer, you're doing a background check. That is federal law. There is no state change. No matter what state you're in, you go to an FFL, you have to fill out a background check, period. End of story. It's been that way. Now what they're saying is that if you sell them out of the trunk of your car, that you have to go ahead and fill out a background check. My problem is who cares? It should be the exact same law, whether you are a licensed dealer or not. You should have to fill out a background check. I actually agree with the law. I don't want people buying guns out of a trunk of a car. I don't want them buying non-serialized firearms. I don't want them literally just, Now, if you want to sell a shotgun to a buddy, or if you want to sell an M1 or something like that, that is completely different. But still, if you are going to sell a car, you have to fill out the pink slip. If you're going to go, you have to transfer the title. if you're going to go ahead and sell a firearm, it can't be, oh yeah, here you go, here's your firearm. They're saying, well, what if you want to lend a buddy a gun to go hunting? You have to be with him or in possession of that gun and have oversight of that firearm. Otherwise, you are responsible for what happens to that firearm if you lend it to somebody and they go commit a crime with it. That makes you an accessory. Do we disagree with this? Do we feel that our rights are being infringed because of a background check? Who believes that? Tommy, call on the show. It's right there, dude. I mean, you're saying no this, no that. Just call.
No, it's he was answering a question.
Oh, okay.
If a person dies and the spouse gives the surviving adult child their firearm, is there any paperwork required?
It's
that was the question.
If the person lives at the residence that they're at, no. If a person bequeaths it to them in a will, there's a transfer of ownership that takes place. So the answer is yes.
Got it.
So
now the only question that I have is, let's say I did want to sell one, right? Because of the requirement to check into somebody's background. What if, right? The stipulation then is that I'm asking for someone's CCW. If they're a registered CCW within the state, then I know they've already gone through a background check. Follow?
Correct. And T.A. Tomlinson says, you are not understanding. First of all, you have no idea how many firearms I possess. Right here within my reach, I've got 8. Okay? You want to go through the rest of my house? You want to go look at my safe? I think I do understand. My point is that every single amendment and every Bill of Rights, except for number 3, which is the quartering of troops, has an amendment tied to it based upon the changing rules of the time. Whether it's the first, that's like saying, you know what, printing press is freedom of speech, but because we're on the internet, you don't have freedom of speech. Hold on, caller. So you don't have freedom of speech simply because we're on the internet now, or it's done over phone, or it's done over a recording device that wasn't around during that time. Firearms, you're right, 100%. Second Amendment is shall not be infringed. I don't consider a background check infringement as much as I would filling out a loan application for a car infringement. You either have to realize that it takes 5 minutes of your life to put down your name and number. You may disagree with it. You may not like it. You may think it sucks. But to me, are they infringing upon you buying a firearm? Well, if you're a felon, you're not allowed to have a firearm. So how do you feel about that? Do you believe felons should own firearms? Do you believe people who've been committed a domestic violence should have a firearm? Do you believe people who have worked for foreign governments or are on a terrorist watch list who actually deserve to be watched? Do you think those people deserve to have firearms? Well, then you agree with some limitations. So don't give me this whole it's unconstitutional shit like I'm somehow against the Second Amendment. I'm just living in reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Now my only other caveat to that is something that you had mentioned before about non-serialized weapons. They've become so ubiquitous in terms of either ghost guns or CNC machines or 3D printing them now. I think that there's an argument to be made that because you can't guarantee that those are not literally in the hands of everyone else, right? That there's really no room for me to tell somebody else that they don't have a right to defend themselves. But those are two separate arguments. I just wanted to add that.
And TA, I agree with what you're saying. This isn't about whether these gun laws are constitutional or unconstitutional. That's not the argument. The argument is should FFL dealers and their rules that are federal be applicable to people in private sales? And the answer, in my opinion, is if you're going to apply that federally, then why is that not applied to private sales too? That's the question. Now,
right.
I think there's a very big difference between giving a firearm to somebody and saying, here you go, and let's go hunting, or use it for home protection because some guy was outside your house. There are cases where an emergency situation would take place where a firearm needs to be transferred to somebody else. But it's not that few and far between that you can't go online and fill out a background check on somebody that takes 5 minutes to do and get that approval. How many, the people who need a gun in a moment's notice aren't going to be worried about a freaking piece of paper. And the ones who need a gun in a moment's notice are going to be few and far between. That's my point. Go ahead, Tommy, call in now. It's not letting you call because I declined it because we were talking. But we're free. We want to get your opinion. Liv, did you have anything you wanted to say on this in regards to background checks? You've lived in one of the strictest states in the union and one of the freest states in the union, California and Texas.
I was going to say, I thought she was in both those. Yeah.
Yeah, we lived in California and Texas together. Yeah, California, the laws are absolutely ridiculous as far as, yeah, it's a background check, but it's 10-day. You can't get it out of the store, do anything with it. You have to have a 10-day background check for ammo in California, which is absolutely ridiculous.
They changed that.
It was when we were there.
They put it in. Well, yeah, you couldn't have bump stock. You couldn't have a flasher. You couldn't have a high-powered scope on your AR. You had to have a modified pen ejection for mag that had a key in it. So when you wanted to reload the 10 mag, you had to have a key to get it.
Yeah, the size of your magazines was limited in California, and it was ridiculous. And it was like you couldn't purchase once you purchased so much ammo, you couldn't purchase anymore for a year. It was ridiculous. And then when we moved to Texas, you can't get the background check, walk out with a gun.
I got off the plane, walked in. Go ahead and mute your phone real quick, Tommy. I got off the plane, walked into a gun store, and I walked out with a Glock 17 within 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And then as soon as we got our firearms after the movers came and we got all our weapons, that's another long story. But we took the AR to a store and it cost us $1,000, but we got all the modifications taken off from California.
Yeah.
And it was like a whole new AR. But I mean, it's ridiculous. And I totally agree with background checks. You're going to buy a weapon, get a background check. Just like every job, you need a background check to get a job. So, I mean, it's just standard in today's day and age. You need background checks for most everything that you're getting. So I don't disagree with that. But the extent of some states and the extent of some of the rules, I do disagree with.
All right, Tommy, you obviously do this for a living. We want to get your thoughts on what we got right, what we got wrong. Go ahead.
Okay, as far as the law is wrote right now, you can do individual sales to an individual. You don't have to do a background check. I do agree that backgrounds should be done, but it is not the law that you have to. The only way that they're enforcing this new rule is if you sell several guns a year, go to flea markets, go to gun shows and stuff like that. You can give a gun to a family member and you don't have to do any paperwork. It is advised to write down the serial number and do a bill of sale, and each of you keep a copy so you do have it documented on where the firearm went. Mm-hmm. So that if they ever do a trace, you can show, hey, I sold this gun to so-and-so.
Right. Okay. So standard, like we said, FFL, you've got to have a background check. You got to have a bill of sale. You got to have a record of it. Individual sale. But isn't it based upon, Tommy, where if I have, 10 or 15 guns in the back of my trunk and someone wants to buy 10 times, do we consider that an individual sale? Or is that against the law for that person to buy 10 firearms out of somebody's trunk all at once?
That's right there is going to be a gray area depending on this new rule.
See? Yeah, I know. That's why I brought it up. All right.
It's the same thing as people coming in, and I know they do it. They come into the store, they fill out the paperwork, and they leave, and I know they're selling them at flea market.
Yeah.
All I can do is report to the ATF and say, hey, I believe this guy is buying stuff and straw selling them.
Right. Right. Okay. So that's interesting. I mean, that's a little bit of a different spin on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you. Go ahead. What else you got? Go ahead.
The reason they did this new rule is, like you said, it's 100% to catch the guys that's going to flea markets. It's 100% to go the guys that are buying stuff and taking it to flea markets, and to catch the guys that are straw selling to just people they know they can't have it. And that's where the profit margin comes in, because if you sell 3 or 4 guns, you're going to make a profit. Where it's going to be a downside is the collectors. We got odd guns because the value goes up on them and they want to resell them.
Thank you, Violet, and thank you, Kevin.
Yes, we appreciate you both. I also have an anonymous $20 here, so I'm not going to go ahead and do that. So, Tommy, tell us your background. How long you've been selling firearms, and are you FFL dealer? Are you on the road dealer? Do you have a brick and mortar? Tell us a little bit about you.
Brick and mortar. We're in Rome, Georgia. We've been doing it for 39 years now. So just a couple years under our belt.
That's amazing.
We
So
it's
go ahead.
we probably in inventory currently we probably have just in display 1,000 different firearms.
Oh,
Wow.
God,
Yeah,
I want.
look up the Country Sportsman in Rome, Georgia. We've got a Facebook page, and you can check out the store.
Well, Tommy, do me a favor. Send me the link through email, and I'll put it up here. I can't physically. I can show it. I can't link it because there are rules on Facebook. But I can show the page. Give me the name of the darn page real quick. Your webpage?
Well, if we don't have a website, we do everything through Facebook, and it's just the Country Sportsman.
Tell it to me again. You broke up.
The store's name is the Country Sportsman.
Country Sportsman. Got it.
Okay, I'm looking.
We do everything through brick and mortar.
Okay. Country Sportsman, for sale, wanted, or free. Is that the private group there?
No, it should just be a store page.
I'm looking.
You'll still been on the front of the store.
All right, let me look here. Is it the Country Sportsman?
No, it's just Country Sportsman.
Okay.
On Facebook there.
Sportsman or sportsmen? I'll try both.
Is it MAN or MEN?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding it. What's the front cover look like?
SPORTSMAN.
MAN. Okay.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding it. So, Tommy, do me a favor when you can. Can you please send me a link? Or Liv, can you go to Tommy's page and see if you can find it for me?
Yeah.
Tommy, hold on. Tommy, what's your last? I know your last. It's not Cawthorn, is it? What's your last name?
It's Paul Thun.
Okay. See, I remember things sometimes. See if I can find you. Cawthon. That's right. There he is. All right, and looking for Country Sportsman. There it is.
You got it?
Yep, I'm good at what I do sometimes. Here it is, Rome, Georgia. The Country Sportsman, 6,000 followers. If y'all do me a favor, head on over there right now and give it a follow. Beautiful store. My God, I'm coming down to Rome, Georgia.
Wow.
It's gorgeous, buddy. Good for you. I want to come spend some money with you. I love Georgia.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm going to follow it. If you guys,
that's a great looking store, Tommy.
Yeah, you guys can like it. You can find it now on my site. So if you go over to the DUM Show, I'm following it right now. And that's amazing, man. Well, listen, thank you. I've got a couple firearms that I absolutely want to have. And I may need to reach out to you and see what we can do.
And then listen, if there's ever a firearms question or if that's a question, shoot me an email and I'll answer it to the best of my ability.
Outstanding. I will absolutely 100% give you a call if I have questions. There's not many things I don't know from a recreational level or a military level, but from as far as licensing and dealership, I don't know nearly enough. So I'll be using you as a resource if that's okay, Tommy.
That's great, guys.
All right. God bless, bub.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank for calling me in.
Thank
you.
I got a question.
Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah. Scott Piantowski says, want to know with a dumb polo as today in golf. Good for you. Congratulations. Go ahead, Leroy.
So I was thinking about this while we were on the phone with him in terms of, driving, that's considered a privilege, right? Voting, though. Voting is a right. First Amendment, Second Amendment, that kind of thing. Now, in order to exercise those rights, let's say you wanted to go exercise your right to vote. What are the requirements for that? You have to prove that you are a citizen, right? So this is really no different. And I'm with you as far as getting a background check, right? In order to purchase a firearm, you have to be able to prove that you are not that you're eligible to own one, that you're eligible to exercise that right here in this country. I understand that. Where I struggle a lot is the constant kind of erosion where they just try to make things a little bit harder to acquire a gun, a little bit harder to acquire the ammo. Just like what Liv was talking about in California. It sounds like there's a very big difference in terms of firearm acquisition in California versus Texas. And I guess that's where I struggle the most.
Yeah. So question by Patricia. I saw this earlier. So a guy has a felony, no gun. Well, he wouldn't have a gun if he has a felony. Otherwise, he has another felony coming. What would a background check say that would deny ownership to somebody else?
I understand the question.
I think I understand it too. So what's stopping somebody from selling a firearm who has a felony to somebody who doesn't have a felony who wants a firearm? Nothing, except that it is a felony for that person to be in possession of a firearm and sell that firearm. That would actually be a felonious sale of... Yeah, there's several statutes. I'm trying to remember what it would be, but either way, it's a felony for a felon to have a firearm. Number one, to redistribute or to sell a firearm is also a felony for a felon. So what would stop them? Absolutely nothing, except that's the whole point of this, is that it's liberals saying, well, let's add more laws to this. Well, we already have enough laws. And this is where TAI agree. We're not arguing the constitutionality of this. I don't agree with anything. My point is that if you're going to have universal background checks for FFLs federally, you should have the same for private sales too. I'm sorry.
I took that question differently than
Okay,
you
then
did.
tell me what you think.
I thought it was asking, besides being a felon where you can't have a gun, is there anything else that could show up on a background check where you don't get approved to buy a gun?
Absolutely.
That's how I took it.
Absolutely.
What would they be?
You're not a legal citizen. That's one that would show up. You have a court order or a hold restraining order on your record. Okay. You have an active warrant on your record, and you have a bench warrant out for you, a warrant for arrest, in state or out of state. NCIC check will find that. So there's a lot of things that disqualify you from having a firearm. Also, the 5 questions that you put on there that are all voluntary. One of them being, have you ever been on any psychotropic medication, is a disqualifier. Right. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? So these voluntary questions also kind of hold people up, where they go, I don't want to lie, and they fill it out. And there's some of those out of those 5 questions, which are usually pretty standard on federal background checks, would disqualify somebody from owning a firearm.
Hunter Biden.
Did you see Amy's question?
Hunter Biden.
No. What did you put it up on screen? She wants to know what we think of. I got to go back and look at the question. Hang on. Something about California making a new law
what do I think about them in California, that they have to have insurance? Well, here's the thing.
That was it.
Is I don't think that a person should have to have insurance for private use, but if you carry a CCL, concealed carry, I think it should be absolutely mandatory to have private insurance.
I get that.
I do. We have private insurance because I carry. I just believe it should be mandatory. And the reason why, for your own life, because if you're putting bullets down range and you hit somebody who you were not intending on that target, or you're in a non-justified shooting, that's going to cost you a lot of money. A capital defense case is $500,000, $250,000 at the very minimum. You start answering civil recourse on that, and you're just putting yourself behind the 8 ball. So I don't think it should be mandatory. But like a car, people go, well, why do we have mandatory insurance? Well, it's not because of you. It's that person that hits you. That's the problem. You make it mandatory not because you're a bad driver or because you're a scumbag who won't pay the bill. It's for that other son of a bitch who won't. That's why you have mandatory insurance. Go ahead, Mike.
I wasn't sure where you were headed with that, and I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there. Because is it smart to have? Absolutely. Should it be legally required to be insured in order to carry? And that's where I think we start running into, because I don't think it needs to be legally required now. I don't know that I would do it, but to require it, though, and I don't think that.
Well,
that would be right.
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that drivers should have insurance? And I don't know where I fall on this. My point was, it's a good idea to have it if you're a carrier, and you should carry and have insurance. I think it's absolutely stupid not to have insurance if you're a concealed carry holder. Should it be mandatory? I agree with Leroy in this. Should it be mandatory? I don't know. We do it with car insurance. and you're driving a vehicle that has the ability to kill people in a fraction of a second, so is your firearm. The question is, do we agree? Yep, USCCA is what we have. We've used a couple of others in the past too. What do you think, Leroy? Is it because you look at Obamacare? That was a punitive penalty to have that, and really, there's no issue with you not having health insurance. If you don't want it, that's your choice. Vehicle insurance is different. You're ultimately could be involved in an accident, and then if you don't have insurance and you can't afford to help that person's medical bills, I mean, it makes sense. So what about a firearm? That's why I said private fire. If you're concealed carry, not a private owner, because you're not gonna. If you're carrying a gun out in the wide open and you get in a gunfight with somebody, you're an idiot because you're not concealed carry, and in most places you're gonna be in trouble. Now, if it's open carry, that's another conversation. But if you're gonna use your firearm for anything other than hunting, sport, and recreation or home defense, you have to ask yourself the question that you're going to be entering other parties into the equation that could be innocent bystanders in a gunfight. Should you have insurance? That's the question. Sorry, Leroy, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Now, and it's important to make those distinctions, right? So within one's own home, if you are of the mindset that, hey, I'm going to buy this pistol, keep it next to my bed, it'll be there for just in case the 3M kind of wake up kind of thing. Do you need insurance for that? I would argue no.
No, your homeowner's insurance would take care of that, right? Wouldn't it?
Exactly. Now, in terms of either open carry and concealed carry, either one of those, because the weapon is now leaving the premises, leaving your permanent residence, I could see the argument that either one of those, you should have insurance. Should it be legal? Well, I'm not so sure. Driving has always been considered a privilege. And so therefore they can make certain laws that basically say, look, it's not a right. You don't have the right to a car.
That's a great point.
Okay. So you don't necessarily.
It's a really good point.
But to exercise a constitutionally protected right, I don't think that you can enforce, hey, in order to exercise this right, you have to carry insurance.
I got the counter argument. It just popped in my head. Damn, this is good because that is such a good freaking thing. If driving a car is not a right, it's not a right. Now, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is a right. And the question is, if you do not have a vehicle and you cannot provide a means for yourself, does that infringe upon the right of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness? Well, once again, there is no right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It is inherent in all people. There's not a specific right that is laid out for that. So we have to take it to the First Amendment. So I'm sitting there walking through all the amendments, and immediately I go to the 4th, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and I'm like, holy shit, I can't think of something. So I went, I went back to the first.
Okay.
In the first, there is an infringement on freedom of speech that will not allow you to exercise your right based upon a penalty /fine /registration to execute right. And that is the right to petition and protest your government. So in order to file a protest in a city or town municipality, most states have you fill out a registry and an enrollment fee that covers overall the cost of filing that protest that will take place. That limits certain people from having speech because there is a forced penalty or a forced fine or a forced charge that makes that legal. If you do not do so and protest, you can be charged with a crime. So is that the same as having insurance on a firearm?
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a really good point. To logic through that one, we could probably spend a remainder of the show.
Yeah, we probably could. Let's not.
The logic wickets on that to find out whether or not, to make arguments both pro and con.
Well, then you got to start getting into the volume and truly, if speech and Second Amendment, is First and Second Amendment are equally weighted, one ensures that the First Amendment continues, and the First Amendment is paramount for our ability to right to carry. You have to ask yourself the question, they're synonymous with each other. So is showing a punitive charge or licensing fee in order to protest or to petition the government, because even to petition the courts in an appeal, there is a charge for that. If you're going to petition the courts to propose some sort of amendment for local city council or put something on the docket, there is a filing fee for that. Hell, there's even a filing fee for the homeowners association that you have to have with the council to submit a request to build a clubhouse on your property. Well, people could say that's speech. Like me putting a flagpole up, I had to submit a $550 fee to the homeowners association. I said, bullshit, this is protected speech. You can't do that. I won. But my point is that we have to look at all of these things, and this is where precedent comes in, and people who are a lot smarter than all of us will figure it out. But my first inclination is I think there's several counter arguments to this conversation that we all should think about, not just rush to judgment. Liv, did you have something you want to throw in besides a cat's ass?
Yeah, Thomas from Rumble had a question. Can you buy a firearm and have it shipped to a dealer in a state where they may not allow that firearm?
No. No, I think Tommy can jump on it, but crossing a firearm over state lines at an authorized dealer is different because they have different licenses. So, like in California, there's people who can have automatic weapons. Surprisingly enough, up in Tahoe, they actually have places you can go and fire automatic weapons outside of Reno and Tahoe, and who have Class C type license. So when you say, is it a banned weapon? There aren't any that I know of that are not fully automatic or certain type of ammunition or certain caliber weapons that are not restrictive. And you simply, if it's illegal in your state to own it, you sending it to a dealer, to what end? Where that dealer is then going to take it to another state and sell it? Yeah, that should be legal under certain. There's got to be the right paperwork for that, I would assume. But simply owning a firearm in a state where it's not legal, there are transportation requirements. So, for instance, if I have a firearm with me at all times, I can drive through Virginia, I can drive through Pennsylvania, I can drive through Maryland. I can do all of that completely unmolested, but my firearm has to be in stages in certain states. So, for instance, across Maryland, I can only transfer it between point of sale and home. So when I go over Maryland, I have to store my firearm in Virginia, and I had a safety deposit box that I would drop it off and rest in, put my firearm there, and then come pick it up at the end of the day. Because if I went into Maryland with a firearm, even if it was disassembled and locked in my trunk, I could still go to prison. So you have to be very careful with the law and the rules, because reciprocity is not something that transfers to every state. Now, what reciprocity means, if I have a concealed carry permit in Virginia, does that mean it's good in Texas? Well, yes, because of reciprocity law. But there are some, like Washington, D.C., Maryland, California, that my CCL is not good in those states because they don't participate in reciprocity. The rules against firearm owners is absolutely ridiculous. You have to have a plethora of knowledge if you're going to be carrying your firearm outside your home city, and just your home city, because city to city it can change too. It's ridiculous, folks. These rules are ludicrous. There should be reciprocity across all 50 states. Well, all lower 48. Sorry.
No, you're good. And I wanted to add something to that, because something that you brought up earlier about the idea that one has to register if they're going to partake in a protest, right, in order to exercise your First Amendment, right to freedom of speech, right? Same thing applies here. And if you really want to know just how crazy this could potentially get, right? Which kills more people every year? Is it rifles, pistols, or knives?
Olivia, I already know the answer.
It's knives, right? Exactly. Now, according to the last, I think it was the Heller case, Supreme Court, 2008. According to that, right, Second Amendment isn't just about pistols or firearms. Also included in that are things like knives, and they have not made a determination yet on things like swords. Now, so hear me out. If you really wanted to go down the rabbit hole and just let this toilet flush all the way, there's the potential, because of the way Matt framed, right, this First Amendment thing with having to register to partake in a protest in a authoritarian type government. I could see, if way down the line, right, that you might have to register in things like knives. If you really wanted to let the government have have full control over that.
And the argument is this: if we're going to base it upon death, well, then heart disease has to go ahead, and fentanyl now have to be a completely different thing. That means that all pharmaceutical companies have to go ahead and license and prescribe their medication through a background check. Because what you're saying is it's the amount of death that's the issue, not the actual weapon or the intent of the weapon, which there is no intent of the weapon. The weapon is an immaterial object. So you apply intent based upon the person. Well, if a person is taking loads of fentanyl or loads of hydrocodone, do we have the ability to put them on a list not to receive that medication because it's self-harm or potentially harming somebody else in the home? You have to ask yourself a question. Should people no longer be able to eat at McDonald's because heart disease is the #1 killer? And if somebody is diagnosed with CPD or something else, should they then have their rights revoked? And when you go to McDonald's, if you can't swipe a badge that says you're okay to eat there, should we stop it? Do you understand this, the slope? And this is where TA and I agree that it's very slippery, because then you start proposing things like red flag laws based upon intent. And predetermination is something that is an afterthought. It is not a forethought. Let me say it again. This should be quoted on a shirt. Predetermination is an afterthought, not a forethought. Which basically what you're trying to say is that you can't premeditate something until you've done it. And this is where you get into the Minority Report situation. If you have people with clairvoyance see that you're going to do something in the future, but you have not done it, are you still guilty of it? So that's what I mean, that premeditation is an afterthought, not a forethought. So you can't apply intent to somebody. That's not the way it works. Liv, did you have something you want to chime in before Leroy goes?
No.
Leroy, go, and then we're going to switch gears.
Remember this, that for every politician that's out there that would basically try to put forth some new regulation, some new law, right? And you hear this type of argument, and then they follow it up with, it's for your own safety. Don't trust it.
Yeah, that's
never has a phrase been more damaging to the liberty of the people than it's for your own safety.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to make sure that everyone understands the rules. So someone asked about Colorado. Can you carry with a concealed carry permit from the other states in Colorado? Yes. There are certain restrictions in other states. So for instance, if I'm in Virginia, I have a Virginia concealed carry. Is it good in Colorado? The answer is no.
Right. You have
but I have a Colorado concealed carry. It's good in North Carolina, Virginia, Indiana, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, but not in Nevada, California, Oregon, Washington, no matter what you do. So Colorado participates in limited with restrictions. And I want to just clearly state what those restrictions are fairly quickly. There is a difference by county for concealed carry and open carry in Colorado. The type of weapon system, for instance, in Houston, Texas, a AR-15 with a modified shorter barrel and stock is considered a pistol. So if you create a mini AR-15, it's a pistol, and you can carry it like a pistol. You can have it in the front seat of your car. One of my managers had an AR in the front seat of their car, just sitting there, roughly this big, and that's considered a pistol. So there's certain things in Colorado that are different, but because of Columbine and the Aurora shooting, they have become more stringent in Colorado. But look it up on uscaa.com. Leroy, go ahead, bring us home, and then
there's a question.
Olivia, you do it, and then we're going to punt. No, we got to punt.
Brenda said, what if I have a registered gun and my daughter uses it when I'm not there?
If it's in your home or domicile, that's 100% acceptable. The licensed carry, now, whether you have stand your ground law is an interesting, or castle doctrine. That's something you're going to want to look up. Where are you from? Where are you from?
Oh,
who is it?
Brenda on Rumble.
Shepherd?
I don't have a last name.
How do you not have a last name?
Because on Rumble you can do nicknames.
It's probably Brenda Shepherd. Like I said, I think I pretty much know everybody who watches the show. Okay, so castle doctrine and stand your ground laws are two very important things. Castle doctrine is you can defend your home at all costs, no matter what. Somebody encroaches upon your home, you have a right to defend yourself and your life as you deem fit. Outside of your home is the issue. Okay. The old adage, if you shoot somebody outside, just drag them into your house. Well, that shit doesn't work with modern day forensics. So that's not going to work. But castle doctrine is pretty open and shut. If they enter your home and 50% of them is in your house, you have the right to fire. Period. Plain and simple.
She's from Missouri.
Okay. She has castle doctrine, I believe. I'm not going to we look it up. Missouri, castle doctrine, and stand your ground law. Stand your ground law is that if your life is in jeopardy, if you are being held against your will from moving forward to your destination, or your life is in imminent danger based upon your diagnoses of the situation, yes, your interpretation, you have the right to defend yourself with a firearm. That is stand your ground law. So those are the two laws, and you should check your state. Go ahead, Leroy. Then we got to go.
I was just going to add something real quick. So I live in Ohio, right? When I go to Hilton Head, which is in South Carolina, and I carry, right, any responsible gun owner is on the hook then for looking up each and every law for any state that they would then transit. How do I know that the reciprocity laws between South Carolina, West Virginia, any state that I would then transit are covered for my particular type of pistol? And it gets worse. So let's say I have a HK with a 15 round, or we'll say a 25 round magazine, right? It's extended, whatever. Might be covered in Ohio, but, and might be good in South Carolina. But what happens in West Virginia? Am I then breaking the law by crossing the state with this? So these are the types of things, these are the details that one has to get into just to make sure that you're not breaking the law. Now, I say that in order to make this argument. That whole time, a responsible gun owner is then doing all of this research to make sure that they're not breaking any laws. There is some jackass out there with an unregistered pistol who has, drugs in their system, and they don't give a shit. Right? So at some point, you just have to, really start thinking about those constitutional rights. If I know that person is out there, why is it a big deal for me then to carry my pistol from state to state to state?
It's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Period. End of story. Shoot first. You can always get therapy later, and it's only going to cost you money. Last thing is, did you see that the serviceman that answered the door with his firearm pointed down and was shot by the police? I will tell you this. I don't know the circumstances, but when you say pointed down, that means it was out of its holster. So he broke leather. If you answer the door and police are there and they're knocking your door and you have broken leather, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You are, that is assault. You have brandished that firearm with the intent to use. I don't care where it's pointed. If you answer the door with a firearm and I'm a cop, I'm drawing my weapon. And I'm probably going to fire on you. Now, you may not like that, but that's what I'm saying. Because you are brandishing a firearm in a ready position. Let me ask you a question. If he answered the door with a knife, would you be upset that the cop shot? Probably not. So if he tased him, if they billy clubbed him and he had a knife, you have a weapon and you have brandished it and you are the police force, you have every right to defend yourself. Now, do I believe they should have shot him? I haven't seen the tape. I'm not going to make judgment. My first reaction is, if I am a carrier and someone has broken leather on a firearm, I'm drawing and I'm going to kill them. If you approach me and you are brandishing a weapon, I'm going to put you down. That's it. There is no question. There's no hesitation. You're going to die. And you're going to die in a very systematic, effective pattern. Yeah. I'm gonna put the predator dots right on your chest and then one in your head. Go ahead.
Yes to Missouri for the castle doctrine and standard ground. Yes, it is Brenda Shepard. And she said the reason she asked that question is because her daughter's ex tried to kill her and he's getting out of prison in the next year or so.
Well,
you got a year to plan.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you. I'm not questioning. This is a veteran. I understand. I don't know the case. I read it. I flashed over it. I flashed the title. I have no idea what happened. I don't know if this guy was a quality check or
people are saying it was the wrong guy, wrong apartment. People also said that the police didn't identify themselves; they just banged on the door.
well, were they in plain clothes?
That I don't
listen.
know.
I once again, I don't know the details. I will tell you that there are millions upon millions of interactions annually with the police department, and none of them result in fatal shooting. I will tell you, I've seen some pretty horrible shit, and it always comes down to training. Always. It always comes down to training. I'm just telling you, whether I knock on a door or not, if I knock on the door and someone has a gun, what I would do is I wouldn't answer the door. I would say, I don't know who you are. I have a firearm. Please step back 5 feet and be in front of the peephole. And I would say it through the door. But I'm not going to answer a door with a firearm because I don't know if there's 3 guys there who are bum rushing the door and then they're going to take my firearm away from kill me. Right. I'm just not going to answer the door. You just don't answer the fucking door. Why are you answering? I don't know. I didn't see it. I don't know. My gut is it's probably a training issue, and these cops will. You know what? Monday, I'll talk about it with Izzo. He always brings this shit to me, and we always debate this stuff. Monday, 1 o'clock. Go to tv.spreely and watch Izzo and I talk about it. Okay, linktapgo.com/the DUM Show. You guys see it down there. You see that blue and red bar? That is for the show. We are 100% sponsored by you. Thank you for so many people on right now. My God, it's a huge night. Good to have everybody here on a Friday night. If you have the means and have the capability and your own oxygen mask is firmly on, Olivia and I, we provide this show to you guys free of charge, and we always want to keep it that way. Your donations keep it going. So if you have a chance, and maybe you don't want to buy 5 Starbucks coffees because it's a woke company and its stock is going in the toilet and you're going to have to switch to somebody else soon anyway, maybe you can throw that money to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Make sure if you can't give that, just like the show. That helps out tremendously. By hitting that like and follow button, it makes a world of difference. All right, next topic. I got a lot tonight, so we got to kind of move our asses because it's 8:20 and we've been having a good old time and great show. It's not that it's not awesome. Joe Biden, I was going to do a show on this.
Oh, jeez.
And I was gonna do my own video. I might do a slap check tomorrow, but this is Fox News, and I'll tell you, Bill Hemmer. I love Bill Hemmer. I think Bill Hemmer is timeless. I think he's got that Cary Grants type swagger. He's a kind guy. He's charming. I just love his disposition. I'm a big fan of Bill Hemmer. So I love what he did here. Give this a watch. This is pretty funny. But this is just to demonstrate how full of crap. Take notes. If you're Olivia or Leroy, you've watched the show enough. When you hear something that's completely crazy, write it down. Put it in your head and we can talk about it. Here's the video.
Sound. There's no audio, Matt. Can you hear me, Matt?
Yeah?
There's no audio.
Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Hold on.
You're good.
Oh, that's why. Shit. That's okay. You got to look at Bill Merrill. Here you go.
This week on CNN, if you saw it, you may have watched it yourself. You set quite the record. The New York Post reports this. In a brief 17 minutes, Biden told 15 lies, nearly a lie a minute. From whoppers about the economy to prevarications on Israel, Biden spun a fantasy land of a presidency that voters know is false. So what we want to do is put it all together, all right? So on screen, you'll see all 15 that the New York Post lists here. I don't know what you favor, Martha. Lie 1 is I've created 15 million jobs since I've been president.
All right. Who wants to take I've created 15 million jobs since I've been president? Olivia, you can nail that one. Get it.
Well, most of the jobs that you think you've created are people going back to work after COVID.
And the United States government doesn't create job unless it's federal expansion. Leroy, anything else? Right. All right.
No,
we got to get through.
That would have been my second point.
All right. Good.
Problem is that
the next one, other than Herbert Hoover, Donald Trump is the only president who has lost more jobs than he created.
That would be because of COVID.
True, but it's also not accurate. Jimmy Carter also lost more jobs than he created. Most presidents, surprisingly enough, lose quite a few jobs based upon overall job expansion and people hiring. But here's the thing. If the workforce has been unemployed for a certain period of time, they leave the job market after 6 months. Most unemployment is 6 months. Some of it's 90 days. But once they are out of that, people stop looking for a job. They leave the job market, which is a false positive to lowering the numbers. If you want to do that, then there are several presidents who have actually lost more jobs than actually created more jobs. Leroy, anything on that?
I wouldn't add anything to that, no.
Okay.
Those jobs came back because COVID went away.
Look at what he says he's going to do. If he gets elected, says he's going to do away with what I've done on Medicare, reducing the price of Medicare. Anybody want to jump on that one?
I don't know much about that.
Lyndon Baines Johnson proposed an amendment that there would be a fluctuation every few years based upon Medicare and Social Security to keep up with inflation and the cost of living. That is not Joe Biden who passed that. That is a normal processes that takes place, and every president inherits that. So they got it's called COLA. I didn't look any of this shit up. I haven't even watched this video, but I can tell you COLA is a natural process that happens during administrations based upon the anniversary of the time, nothing that he actually did. So that is a complete lie. And Donald Trump doesn't want to limit Medicare. He doesn't want to destroy Medicare. He wants to ensure that it survives 20, 30 years down the road, which and Social Security are predicted to bankrupt. I wanted to take that one. I'm sorry. I'll give you the next one later.
No, I'm glad you did. That would have been my point.
Cool.
See.
We have 1,000 billionaires in America. Know what their average federal tax is? 8.3%.
We don't have 1,000 billionaires in America.
Hold on. We do have 1,000 billionaires.
Oh.
I would assume we would have at least 1,000 billionaires. It's billionaires are the new millionaires. Leroy, tell me what's wrong with that statement.
There's no way that federal tax rate is correct. The problem is that all of the billionaires, when you add them together, they pay. If you're talking billionaires, that's going to be the people that pay the top 99% of all federal income.
When you're looking right now, 756 billionaires in the United States. And by all intents and purposes, it's 1,000 because you've got a whole bunch of people who fall into the, 925 million. I mean, what's the difference between 925 million and a billion? 75 million. So essentially a full quarter of interest rate accrual. So give me a break. The thing is that when you say 8.3% in taxes, those billionaires do the math. How much of that 8.3 is tied up into real estate, tied up into product, tied up into payrolls, tied up into training, investment, 501c3 contributions, stock contributions, 401k. Just because you're a billionaire doesn't mean you have $1 billion in cash. They pay property taxes. They pay on their investments. They pay on their losses. They pay on their gains and their revenue gains. So to sit here and say that a billionaire's tax rate is the same as Joe and Mo Smith or Joe and Ma Smith is an absolute ludicrous comment. And like Leroy said, they make up like 96% of the revenue the United States government makes. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Number 8, inflation was 9% when I came.
We've already turned it around on the economy, is what he says. The economy's turned around. Liv?
Bullshit. That's all I gotta say on that one. Economy's not turned around. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh.
Fair enough. The polling data has been wrong all along. So he believes that the bad polling with African Americans, Hispanics, women, young, just pretty much every demographic, and nationally, and most of the swing states outside of Michigan are wrong. Does anyone want to tackle that?
If you're going to claim that there's a negative polling response going on right now, I would just ask what your source data is. That's all.
We could do that. And we could also say, well, it's funny because when you talked about the increase in taxes and you blamed it on Putin, you went ahead and looked at polling data. When you look at Roe v. Wade and your position there, you went on polling data. When you look at background checks, you went on polling data. When you went on Social Security and Medicaid and talk about that, you went on polling data. And when you finally decided to get off your sloppy diaper ass and address the border, you did that because of polling data. So don't give me that crap that you think the polls are wrong. You just don't like them when they're not in your favor, Grandpa.
That's right. And on
There's corporate greed going out there, and it's got to be dealt with.
Oh, gee.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Get him, Leroy.
Look at your own family.
Get him, Leroy. Corporate greed, man. Is it true? Hold on. Are corporations raising their prices to punish customers to make record profits, or is there something else going on? Tell us, Leroy.
Yeah, it's called inflation. You know, when you inflate the cost of doing business, when you inflate the cost of transportation costs. Oh, and by the way, you want to give all of their workers a raise. When you multiply record high cost of doing business with record high transportation costs and record high payroll costs, what are you going to have? What are you going to have? You're going to have record high profits. So it's not corporations gouging everyone. This is your fault. Record high profits are not the cause of inflation. They're the result of it. Jackwagon.
We've told you 100 times, when you raise the minimum wage, when you increase the cost of goods and commodities for businesses that require these things, and you decrease their margin, you're not going to hurt them. They're just going to pass that on to the customer. That's what I had to do. I had to raise the prices of my shirts and shipping and handling. I used to charge $2.50 for shipping and handling. Now I charge $6.75. Why? Because I lose money every single time. So this is what happens. I have to pass it on to the customer. It's the way it works. So when you used to be able to get a shirt for $27.50, now you got to pay $32 for a shirt. These shirts are worth it, by the way. Go to thedumshow.com and pick yourself up a shirt. And I don't gouge my customers. I just give them a proper rubbing because I'm going to take it in the shorts.
There it is right there.
Inflation was 9% when I came to office. Oh, my God.
No, it wasn't. It was
No,
9%
it wasn't.
after you came into office.
Does anyone know what the actual percentage was? I do. Who wants a mustache
like high
ride?
twos, right?
No, lower than that.
Was it 1.8? 1.9?
Lower than that. Lower than that. Lower than that.
Wow.
0.8.
Really?
Nope, lower. You're too damn high. I hear a 5 and a 5 and a 5 and a 5 and I hear a 5 and a too low, too high. Do I hear a 4? Do I hear a 4? Do I hear a 4? 1.4, 1.4. Lady in the red. Do I hear 1.4? 1.4.
I already said 0.5.
You said 0.5. 0.5 is wrong. Do I hear 1.4? 1.4. 1.4. Lady in the red. Do I hear 1.4?
1.4.
That's sold. Lady in red at 1.4.
God. 9% lion sack of shit, motherfucker.
They have the money to spend. It angers them and angers me that they have to spend more. I don't give a shit. Who cares?
He came into
Civilians have been killed in Gaza as a consequence of those bombs and other ways in which they go after population centers. Okay, this is mine. Don't touchy. I'll be right back after we go ahead and get the other lies, but hold on to that. We're not walking away from Israel's security. We're walking away from Israel's ability to wage war in those areas.
What?
Wow.
Target area.
He's turning on him.
A healthy place. That's where you want to
It
be.
made no sense in my view to engage in thinking in Iraq. They have a nuclear weapon. No, they don't. They never have.
No,
Iraq does not have nukes. Not even close. Not even remotely close. The 80s and 90s took care of that.
This week with CNN, if you saw it, you may have.
And then he said, you can't only love your country when you win. All right.
I don't even know what that means.
He's talking about Trump. He's talking about Trump. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a little video.
Ethnic cleansing by Israel. But is this true?
This is one of my favorite videos. And I'll be honest with you, I got 90% done with mine. I had all the graphics. I went to Google Maps. I used Photoshop to outline and paint the area. And I'm just like, this is amazing. So I started doing searches to find titles and to see any contents that I can look at and educate myself. And this video came up and I was so pissed because mine was almost done. Watch this shit.
Palestinians claim ethnic cleansing by Israel. But is this true? Let's examine the numbers.
This is what I was trying to tell you about. You guys remember I was talking to combatant to civilian ratio? Mm-hmm. The lowest in Israel out of all the major conflicts that have been tracked. That you can go back and you can talk about the Ottoman Empire. You can talk about the Persians. You can talk about the Moors and the Saxons. You can talk about Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, the English. Holy shit, their list of murder is unbelievable. But you look at all major conflicts and all major battles. The Jews are by far one of the lowest combatant to civilian death ratios by far. But I'm going to show you this. They're talking about ethnic cleansing. Let me show you what the Middle East looks like from an ethnic cleansing standpoint.
Population in Morocco was about 265,000 in 1948, while today
1948, 265,000 Jews, and then in 2023 there are 2,000 Jews left.
it's only about 2,000. Let's continue. In Algeria in 1948, about 140,000 Jews lived. Today, only about 50. In Tunisia in 1948, about 150,000 Jews lived. Today, only about 50. In Libya in 1948, about 38,000 Jews lived. Today, there is not even one. In Egypt, in 1948, about 75,000 Jews lived. Today, only about 40. In Yemen, in 1948, about 55,000 Jews lived. Today, only about 50. About 150,000 Jews lived in Iraq in 1948. Today, only 7. In Syria, in 1948, about 40,000 Jews lived. Today, not even one Jew. About 20,000 Jews lived in Lebanon in 1948. Today, only about 100. And now, get the following figure. How many Arabs lived in Israel in 1948?
Watch this.
About 156,000. And how many Arabs live there today? 2,178,000.
Whoa.
Are you getting it? Over 2 million. For comparison, the Jewish population in Arab countries decreased by 99.83%. Almost 100%. And the Arab population increased by 1,296.15%. So, according to this facts, who's ethnically cleansing whom?
Now you ask yourself the question, well, Matt, that's because there was a mass. Yeah, it is brutal. And dude, I had this shit. Dude, it was beautiful. It was one of my best videos that nobody ever would watch because I make these amazing fucking videos and people don't watch because do I have to like just whip my cock out and like swip it around or something? What is it going to take to get people to go, you know what? I'm going to go back to education. I'm going to go back to Paul Harvey. I'm going to go back to the Larry Kings. I'm going to go back to the Jordan Petersons. And I'm actually going to force myself to listen and entertain with my own thought, not necessarily be entertained like a trained monkey. We have got to get past this microcosm of 5 to 15 to 20 second sound bites to get our information. You have to sit through these things. You have to listen to them because they're facts and you're going to learn something if you just force yourself. Nobody likes reading. Nobody likes to sit there and force themselves to learn about something that isn't exciting. It doesn't matter. It arms you with the material you need to combat the lies. So it's awesome. Here's the thing. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Leroy and Livia, when you hear this, what's the first thing you go, wait a second, hold on, I don't know if that's accurate or not. I need to do something. What is it? What is it about that graphic that makes you go, well, hold on, this is what happened instead of, it wasn't ethnic cleansing, it was this. Is there anything that makes you wonder? 1948, why did the population decrease with Jews in Arab countries? Why?
World War II.
What happened after World War II in 1948? World War II was over. What happened?
They all went back to Israel.
That's correct. So what they're saying is no, it's a pilgrimage. No. They left the Arab countries because they were being summarily murdered and killed. A lot of those countries that you saw, the one thing they had in common was what during World War II? Does anyone want to tell me? What did those Arab countries, who did they malign with during World War II?
Germany.
That's correct. They maligned with the Nazis. So they were rounding up Jews at an alarming rate. And yes, they did exodus. They did exfil into Israel. But the point is because they were being summarily executed. So if you want to sit here and say, oh, well, they left and now we got them Israel. Okay, so you recognize that Israel is its own state and Palestine has no claim. Thank you fucking very much. War over. We win.
I had never considered that.
Yep.
I
Say
just
it,
learned
dude.
something new.
Yeah,
I just
learned
something new and I fucking love it.
Yeah, Bubba.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
dude.
Okay, repeat what you just said.
Okay, what I
Somehow
said
you lost
is
me.
all the people are saying that they have a claim to Palestine and Gaza and West Bank, but in 1948 we saw the mass exodus of Jews from Arab countries who were summarily killing them because a lot of them aligned with Nazis. So they're saying what they did is the pilgrimage to their homeland. They just left us. We weren't killing them. They left and went to Israel. Oh, so you recognize that Israel is its own state. Jerusalem is the capital, and West Bank, Gaza, and Palestine have no claim to Israel because you just said that they pilgrimed to their home. Conversation's over. This whole bullshit about Palestine having claim to Israel, even Arabs say it because either they have to own the expeditious killing and murdering of Jews, or they have to go ahead and own that Israel is their rightful homeland. You get to pick. You pick which one. You guys killed all the Jews and you forced them into Israel, or you agree that Israel is their homeland. Which one would it be? I'm done. I dropped the mic. Fuck you, Joe Biden. You're full of shit. Folks, this is at your fingertips. This information is readily available for you. It just takes you. I just looked it up. And I'm like, I'm going to make a video because I know that this is bullshit. I know it's bullshit because I've worked in or looked over most of those countries, as Leroy has, and we understand the history. But when you put two and two together, it doesn't happen until I went and wanted to create a video. And then I started researching and was like, oh, it's kind of like in the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin, where they're going to create the celebrity porn site. What's it called? Come on. Oh, God.
Oh, Knocked Up. That was the movie.
Yeah, but Knocked Up. But it's Knocked Up, not 40-Year-Old Virgin. And they're going to create the celebrity porn site. Come on. It doesn't matter. But anyway, Mr. Skin. So they go ahead and they do. I love how you pretended you didn't know. So
never looked up Elizabeth Hurley on there. Yeah, I swear to God.
Listen, I just love how I'm just a man, and I'm like, oh, dude, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Leroy and pretend I don't know either. So Mr. Skin, they build this celebrity database to show nudies and Jamie Lee Curtis, and all of a sudden one of them surfing the net one day, and they see Mr. Skin, and they're like, oh, crap, our idea is taken. The point is that I would not have found this if I didn't take the time to do my research and uncover this video, which led me to the conclusion of, wait a second, you can't have it both ways. Either you murdered Jews in 1948, which made them flee into Israel, or you recognize that Israel was their rightful own and there was a pilgrimage to their homeland. You decide which one. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
All right.
People want you to link that video.
I will link the video, but I'm going to do a slap check on it. And seriously, I'm going to crush it because this just completely, you don't need to go past 1948 to get the answer. You can go 3,000 years. We can go back to the Canaans. We can go back to the Israelites. We can go back to Syria, Palestina with the Romans. We can talk about the Philistines if you want, how the Philistines are not Palestinians. In fact, they were from the Aegean Sea and were Greeks or Middle Europeans. We can do all those things, but you really don't need to. Just ask the question. How many Arabs live in Israel? Number one. And number two is how many Jews lived in Arab countries in 1948 and how many live there now? And ask them why. Well, they all left and they all had their pilgrimage to their homeland. Thank you. Mic drop. It's over. All right. Whew. I will do that tomorrow. I promise. I'll do a slap check on it. Even though it's Saturday, I'll do it anyway. I want to show you a video. And listen, I don't think violence is the answer. You know what? Fuck that. I'm done with this charade. Violence is the answer. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry. Every major problem in the world that has required more than discourse or bribery has been violence. And you can sit here and say that it doesn't work, but the left will show you that it does work because every time they want to achieve something, all they do is burn shit down and riot. You want to take a look at civil rights? It took violence. It wasn't passivity that took care of it. Yes, Martin Luther King talked about passivity, but they didn't stand and take those rubber hoses and dogs for very long before they started throwing rocks, before they started fighting back. You want to take a look at Watts? You want to take a look at some of the unfair practices with civil rights? You want to take a look at slavery? Excuse me, slavery is one of the best examples. People like the slaves never rose up. The fuck they didn't. They went and 150,000 of them joined the Union forces and killed more whiteys than you could shake a stick at.
It reminds me of that quote, war is a continuation of politics by other means.
Right.
You know, violence is set to achieve a political end.
The basis for I'll even take it even further than this. I mean, Leroy and I are going existentially off tonight, but the basis for any governmental system and the economy of the aforementioned is war. That is the absolute truth. Every government's existence is defense. It designs itself as a sovereignty to have a border, to have a military, and to defend its people from foreign adversaries. Every government's existence is designed for war. You may not like that, but that's the truth. Because
It's a
please
fact,
tell me, name the country that doesn't have a standing military or have a proxy defending it. Please name the country.
You can't.
You can't. They even have drug
all
lords. And they maybe only have a Jeep and a fucking couple 22s, but it's still a standing military. And that's enough to handle the drug lords in the other village. Every single basis of government has a military. So here's my comment. I don't believe that violence solves all issues. I believe that you have discourse, but there does come a point where you might need to slap some people across the beak. And this is one of those instances. I want you to watch this guy. He is one of my favorite people on the planet as Leroy dives into another glass, which second glass means he's going to get lippy here in a few minutes. Watch this. You do get lippy on your second glass. Here it is. Watch this. So this guy puts on brass knuckles, and he was walking by, and they were shouting anti-Semitic tropes, down with Israel, death to America. And let's just face it, this redneck, look at his reading glasses. He sticks them in his vest, puts on his brass knuckles, and he's ready to get to work. And this is a good old boy who will bring the shit against 10 of them and win.
Say something. Yeah, it's right. It's America. Back the fuck up. You fucking pussy bitch. Go back to Palestine. Go to Palestine. That's what we're trying to do, piece of shit. That's what we love to do. We love to. Yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not. You go around the back door. Like, go you want to go. Come here, right? Fuck out of here. What the fuck I want? Fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Say something. I swear, say something. You faggot piece of shit. Homophobe too. We love it. We love it.
I like it.
NYPD not doing shit. A man is assaulting students.
Look at those cops rush to arrest him. Hold on.
Look at you. Man is assaulting students. Man is assaulting students. What the fuck are y'all do? Y'all sit here and record. What are we paying y'all for? What are our taxpayer money going to? Just wondering. You're still fucking standing there. That man's walking
They're all on their phones.
Y'all fucking standing there.
You didn't break any laws.
My favorite part was, why don't you go to Palestine? Well, we're trying. Then go buy a fucking plane ticket and go.
Yeah.
No one wants you here.
You know,
Here's the one. Real quick. Here's the one that I loved, probably more than anything, is if I was the cop. They're like, "What are you doing? You're sitting there. You're not doing anything. You're on your phone." I'll just be like, "I'm defunded."
right.
Go ahead, Leroy.
I have said this, I can't tell you how many times on this show. You can tell the health of a country by whether or not people are trying to smuggle themselves into it or escape from it. There's nothing stopping these people that are currently on campuses and chanting all of this pro-Palestine shit. There is nothing stopping them from leaving. So when someone like that basically says, "Oh, I'd love to go back," there's nothing stopping you. The only reason you are here is to try and infect other people with the level of hatred that you want to point in the general direction of Jews. That's all it is.
Perfect.
That's all it is.
Perfect. That's listen. And instead of going ahead and getting that plane ride to go get an abortion, let us give it to you in Palestine. We'll solve both problems for you at once. We'll send you to Palestine. You won't have any more problems to worry about. Liv, anything else? Good.
No, somebody asked, I guess on Pierre's show, Mel asked.
Yes, I will put it on Monday's show. I can't.
Okay.
Please write it down. Write the notes down on that. I know what she's talking about. Can you please write it down so I get it on Monday's show? We don't have time tonight. Folks,
Mel, can you message me, please?
She can. Folks, stick around. Do not leave. These will be shipping on June 1st. Limited quantity. They're selling out fast. I think I've only had 25 made, and we have about half of that left. Real quick, don't leave. We're coming right back. We have to do 1 minute and 30. We got to pay the bills, folks. Here it is. Hey, what's going on, Donut Friendly Nation? Matthew Spear from the Donut Friendly Podcast. It's interesting. I've had these books for, 3 years now, and I've got, 3 independent books of the Declaration, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution of the United States that I inherited from my mother. Leather-bound, beautiful, and they're older books, 1935, 1937, something to that effect. I'll show them on the show, but people see me reference these nightly on the show. And the interesting thing is I've never really put 2 and 2 together. We have a website, and someone asked last night, "Hey, how the heck do I get those books? Where do I get those books?" And it dawned on me that I should provide these. So they are now on sale. They're beautiful books. They're leatherette books. They're hardback, which is nice. They don't have a dust cover or anything. I've used these, like I said, ad nauseum, and they hold up and they stand the test of time. They've got pictures of the framers, founders, inside the books. They make references with different colors to kind of explain things in a little bit of a simpler way or give some context. But these books, word for word, are the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence. They are absolutely stunning. You get each book individually for $15.99 over at thedumshow.com. We also have a bundle over there where you can save $5 on all three for $44.99. And last but not least, the pictures you've just been looking at and the video is the Documents of Freedom, custom made by PFC Flags, comes in an amazing, beautiful, decorative box for $64.99. Stop by thedumshow.com and take a look. They're available right now. Thanks, folks. What I love now is that people don't leave. They actually stay and watch the commercial, which is cool. You know, it's 1:30, and I appreciate you. Leroy shows the box right over there. We sold out so fast, I had to give mine away. You guys know I've had these for 3 years. I had to give mine away because we ran out so fast. So we have them reloaded. We are going to get them out on June 1st. You order now. It's a pre-order. But you can go over to thedumshow.com and do that. I'm sorry, we can't do the 10% off on those because the margin on there is tighter than a well digger's ass.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. So I'm going to show a video, and I believe we're always fair on this show. I don't like the word balanced. We're not balanced. We lean heavily to the right in the Constitution of the United States. So when Sean Hannity goes, we're fair and balanced. No, you're not. Yeah, you're not. What's that?
I said, isn't it funny that you actually have to say that? Because anybody that's on the left, they would say, oh, yeah, we support the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Do you, though? Do you?
Yeah. Do you? Really? Are you telling me that? Do you just, am I a clown to you? I agree. It's ridiculous that we have to say that, but we're not balanced. We are definitely skewed to the right, but that doesn't make us wrong. When somebody is so far to the left, it almost makes us seem to be in the middle. Now, I can't stand Jamal Bowman. I'm just going to say it. I think Jamal Bowman's a fucking Uncle Tom.
I don't know who that is.
You're going to find it's Mr. Fire Alarm.
Oh, that's how I
Jamal Bowen, Fire Alarm. He's the guy that screams and yells at everybody who disagrees with him. And the reason why I'm going to say you're an Uncle Tom is hear me out. Because the moment that you had a chance to be a true activist, the moment that you had a chance to stand up for yourself, the moment that you had a chance to say, you know what, I interrupted legislation in the Capitol and I did it on purpose and I pulled the fire alarm and everyone knows I pulled the fire alarm. And you know what? Mm-hmm. I don't care. I will reap what I sowed. I will own what I did. But I will not do is I'm not going to turn into some chicken ass pansy who dresses in a suit and cries like a little cuck bitch to the judge to turn my felony into a misdemeanor. Well, that's just what you did. So, Uncle Tom, you are. But I hate to say it, sometimes you're right. And I'm going to show you the broken clock that was right at least once today. And that is Jamal Bowman. In this video, we're going to discuss it.
I want you to take a listen, though, to what one Democrat, Jamal Bowman, who actually was an educator himself before he got to Congress, had to say in a pretty testy remark here.
We must fight hate in all its forms at the same time. I have members of Congress talking about teachers teaching hate. None of them have an education background, by the way. They're talking about teachers teaching hate. I work in Congress. When you go in the rotunda and you look at American history, you see colonists coming in and taking over America from the Native Americans. There is no reference to the black people who built this country in our rotunda. But we're scolding you about teaching hate. You know how many black statues there are in the Capitol? 3. You know how many Confederate statues there are in the Capitol? 12. I work in an institution that teaches hate.
And certainly Bowman makes some notable points there. Again, his background, being a teacher, being an educator.
I'm not going to say anything because I know our initial reaction is to pick apart what he said that was wrong, which there's plenty there. That's wrong. But his overall premise happens to be correct. I'll step back and let you all talk about it. Liv, what are your first thoughts when you hear that?
I don't know.
Leroy?
My very first thoughts are that if you're going to make the distinction between the Southern people during World War II and make note of the fact that there were 12 statues, but only 3 that were for blacks, and you yourself are a Democrat, okay, walk with me on this journey, right? Who were the first black senators? Were they Republican or Democrat?
Mm-hmm.
Who were the people of the South who were trying to keep their slaves? Were they Republican or Democrat? Who was the anti-slavery party? Were they Republican or Democrat? Once you start asking those questions, right? And he's not wrong. I really do wish that we could, get rid of hate altogether. Honestly, he's not on the wrong path there. But let's call it for what it is, right? I mean, own the history of the party that you are then representing. That's all I'm saying.
I can't even remotely tell you that is exactly my argument. He is 100% right, and he should show some contrition because his party is responsible for that. The Daughters of the Confederacy put those statues there. They were liberals. They were the Ku Klux Klan. The KKK endorsed the revisionist history and made it about states' rights versus slavery. They actually stated that the 10th Amendment and overall states' rights were the reason that the Civil War was fought. That is one of the largest lies ever. Because if it was the 10th Amendment, we certainly wouldn't see the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th born from there. So to sit here and say that, so he is absolutely right. Inherently in the halls of that institution, there is racism demonstrated, and there is disproportionate representation of black people versus white Southerners. You can blame people like Joe Biden, who sucked off Strom Thurmond and George Wallace and Byrd. You can talk about how they had 180,000 at the last convention, and then over 700,000 in the streets of Chicago of KKK members in a Democratic-controlled city, where they were permitted to go ahead and march side by side with Democrats. You can talk about Jim Crow. You can talk about Japanese internment camps. You can talk about the Great Society. You can talk about Manifest Destiny. You can talk about modern day eugenics. You can talk about the complete destruction and eradication of the Native Americans. You can talk about the modern day slave plantation of the inner city. He's absolutely right. Everything he said. And there's only one party responsible for it, and that's the Democrat Party. And that is what is the most ironic thing about that fucking video.
Matt and I were on the same page.
And he took it.
Hey,
Took it.
Hey,
He stole
we
it.
didn't even plan it.
That's why I threw the mic. I was just like, fuck, he's right. I'm like, I'm going to give Bowman credit. He's right. But the problem is, he's the problem.
Right.
They're the problem. They will not admit. You know what I would vote Democrat tomorrow if they would do two things. One, if they would walk out there and say we're wrong about abortion, we need to rethink our processes. And the second thing is we are responsible for the black population and what's happening to minorities in this country, and we are going to change it. We're going to start listening to the other side a little bit more. It's time for us to open up our ears and actually listen to another side because we own these things. I would love a Democrat to come out and say that. I'd fucking vote for that person for president if they did those two things.
I would
never
vote
happened.
for him, but I get.
Yes, you would. Let me ask you a question. What else are you giving up? If you had the ability to transform the Democratic Party, you know what I'm saying. You're talking about a generational leader like Gandhi, like fucking Kennedy. You're talking about somebody who actually could change the party from within the way Reagan changed the GOP. You telling me you wouldn't vote for that guy to make the changes in the Democratic Party that are necessary for America to be back on track?
Sure. Those are two different arguments, though. And my point is just because somebody would at least admit the wrongs of their own party from the past doesn't mean that they're putting forth the correct policy that supports the Constitution and the Bill of Rights now. That's the only reason I say that.
But Kennedy did it.
Yeah. I would have voted for Kennedy.
But my point is that those are the two things that he touched on more than anything else. Kennedy was not an endorser of abortion. He also was very pro Second Amendment, and he surprisingly enough, civil rights wasn't his baby.
Yeah.
Civil rights wasn't his baby. So when you look at Kennedy, he wasn't all about, he was very conservative in his thought process, but he made generational change in the Democratic Party. He changed the face of that party forever, even after his death. My point is that it would just take two of the largest arguments in Washington, D.C., abortion and this class division, to put to rest and to have somebody to say, God, Democrats would never lose another election with the number they have if they would just end the abortion argument and own it, that it's wrong, and own their history of slavery and the persecution of African Americans and people of color in this country. If they just did that, I don't think they'd lose another election. That's just me. All right. But where we might as well shit in one hand and hope in the other and see which one fills up first. So, Liv, I'm going to give you your minute. You're tired, baby. I can see it in your face.
Yes, and my contacts. Basically, I can't see right now. It's one big blur.
Honey,
I'm literally looking forward to get new contacts.
Get your 30
tomorrow.
seconds out there, and then let's get you offline and go get you some loving.
Thank you for watching. Please donate to the show. We appreciate everyone who donates $1 to however much, and love you all.
Please give them the link to do so.
Yes, linktapgo.com/The DUM Show.
You guys can go over there and do that. Thank you. If you enjoyed the show tonight, you can do that. Remember, I just want to give you the basics. We have the dumnews.com, we have the dumshow.com, and we also have the dumclub.com. You can go to all three. Now, I think the store is probably one of the coolest things we have here, and we don't talk about it enough on the show. If you could do me a favor, please go over to thedumshow.com and click on shop. Go look at the shirts we have. Go look at the clothing. It's great stuff. And I've had this shirt right here, this one right here.
I love that one.
For 3.5 years. Does it look worn? Look at the neck.
No.
Look at the
Because I'm amazing at doing laundry.
Look, shut up, Liv. You're not helping. You don't come with a shirt. They're not going to get you. You know what? You guys can have my wife for a night. Just go buy a shirt. See, it doesn't work. See, I was just trying to say it doesn't work. But this doesn't look worn. Look at the material. It's still here. It's still black. It's still red. It's still bright. The shirts have. How many times do you think we've washed this, Liv?
You said 3.5 years.
Just spit out a number.
Oh, at least 100 times.
Oh my God, that's. Don't spit out a number next time. Do better math, George Bush. But it doesn't matter. The point is a whole bunch of times, at least 50 times, right? Is that fair to say, Liv?
Well,
you're counter selling. Just say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So good. Thanks, Liv. 150 times. I appreciate it. So the point is, go over to thedumshow.com. All the shirts, 100% designed here in the United States. We don't go ahead and ship you shirts from China. That is the last thing we do. We do have them ship all over the country. We do have them go over to Europe and Canada if you would like to. Please do me a favor. Stop by. You can get hoodies, you can get sweaters, you can get shirts, you can get long sleeve hats, coffee, and the books. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. God bless to you. Thank you for carrying us in your wombs for at least indiscriminate amount of months. I don't know how long, but a long time. At least I would say probably 6.5 months at the very minimum for most women. There are some early births out there, but let's just say Happy Mother's Day to you, and we appreciate you. That's all I've got. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys when? Liv, when are we coming back?
Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Hey, can I ask a favor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dummies.
It depends on the favor.
Of the dummies. I would like all of the dummies out there, right? Dig up real, factual, dumb-ass quotes that Joe Biden has said in the past in quote form and share them amongst your social media. Let's make sure that all of the voters that are coming into this election year see that. All right. If we have the ability to shift the needle just a little bit, that might be a good way to do it. That's the only favor that I would ask.
Good stuff. Happy Mother's Day. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on Monday. I will have a recorded show for you. God bless everybody. Thanks for watching The DUM Show, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Leroy, for being here, buddy. We always love having you.
Night, y'all.
Peace.
Good night,
love
everybody.
You
guys. See ya.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree. We can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.